What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, we have another video here for you. The Indianapolis Colts did pull off a stunning win against the Kansas City Chiefs, but with a great win, there also is some things that the Colts need to shore up. A lot of decisions here that need to be made, and I broke down basically a couple different things, the majority of it being on the offense. I think most people would assume that, but we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about this offense and what needs to be addressed on the entirety of the team. So let's go ahead and hop into it. First thing first, I think it's apparent that we need to talk about the offensive line. It's become a very natural thing to talk about this offensive line through the first 3 weeks. Matt Ryan sacked 5 times against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that brings his total up to like 12 times sacked through the first 3 weeks of the season. Absolutely atrocious. That's something that needs to be fixed right now. There's a lot of different ways you can go with this. I will say first things first, from this last game specifically, Quentin Nelson and Matt Pryor specifically did a pretty decent job in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not going to really fault them because those two specifically did a pretty fantastic job of protecting Matt Ryan at his blind side. But what we clearly saw from the right side of the offensive line was the same thing we saw from the first 2 weeks of the season, right? We saw Ryan Kelly missing blocks and getting bullied on the offensive line. Danny Pinter the same way. And Braden Smith, again, the same way. We've talked about this offensive line being the most paid unit of most units in the NFL. And, it's time for them to start developing, and it's time for them to start delivering the actual promise that we're getting from paying all these guys, right? And right now we're just not getting it. And it's impacting the offense in every way, shape, or form. It is impacting the way that we can run the football. We're not running the football very efficiently right now because of the inability to get pressure and to push guys. Pass blocking, Matt Ryan is unable to sit back in the pocket really and be able to deliver the ball, especially even against Kansas City. He was averaging 2.5 seconds per throw. And that was actually, I think, the 6th fastest time of any quarterback in the NFL for week 3. And the fact that we still gave up 5 sacks is very alarming. And I think it's very clear at this point, guys, we know that something needs to happen. I don't know whether that's a personnel change or if that is a coaching change from that perspective. Obviously, the coaching for the offensive line has not done its job very well, at least right as of yet. It's not even about cohesiveness at this point amongst the group. Guys aren't even blocking people in the middle of the offensive line, and they're still getting through. We had the issue of Ryan Kelly several times yesterday, just allowing guys to come through and not even blocking them, not even chipping them. So, it's that situation where, what needs to change from that perspective? I'm not 100% sure, but clearly something needs to. And I don't know, if it's because of Matt Ryan not seeing the blitzes. I don't know if it's because the offensive linemen just aren't blocking the way that they're supposed to be. But obviously the offensive line, especially on the right side of the offensive line, is a very concerning issue. We've talked about Bernhard Raimann taking over at left tackle. We've talked about either Will Fries or Matt Pryor at right guard, which I definitely think putting Pryor at right guard might not be a terrible idea. And then, Pinter backing up Kelly. And if Kelly is still not performing well, maybe even putting Pinter back at center, because that's where Pinter really shined on this offensive line last year, was at the center position, not at the guard position. So maybe that is something that, could be something different. Maybe that's something that we monitor at the end of the season when, the Colts maybe don't want to re-sign Kelly. I don't know. It's too far ahead to really talk about it right now. But needless to say, something needs to change on that offensive line, or this offense is going to continue to not perform at the level that we're at. And the wide receiver group, I mean, there's a few guys that we can't get involved in the offense right now. And I mean, we're going to talk about some of the guys that did get involved in the offense over the last week. So shout out to them. We'll talk about that in another video. But I think the one thing that we could talk about is the inability to get certain guys involved. I mean, we've seen Paris Campbell not get involved in this offense at all this year. And I'm truly just fascinated as to why that is, because Paris Campbell is one of the fastest guys on this team. He's definitely the second fastest guy on this team. And yet somehow, some way, we never get him the ball except to the fourth quarter when the game is either almost over or it's like needing at the very end. I don't understand how you don't get this guy involved in jet sweeps and drag routes and out routes and screens. There's just nothing that goes into putting Paris Campbell involved in the offense. And I know most of you have said that, oh yeah, he sucks. Like I don't expect any less. But at this point, it's not about Paris Campbell sucking. It is about the coaches not getting him involved in the offense the way that they should be. And don't tell me that I don't know how to run an offense, so therefore don't question it. Guys, he's not even getting the ball until the fourth quarter. There is something obviously wrong here, and I truly do not believe it is Paris Campbell not getting open. One, I think it's also due to the fact that the offensive line's been so trash that Matt Ryan's not been able to get time to be able to throw the football to Paris Campbell, who's been running these seam routes, these out routes, these fade routes 20, 30, 40 yards down the field. And Matt Ryan's never had the time to actually look down the field and get it to Paris Campbell. That was very evident in the Jacksonville game, where there were several times when Paris Campbell was open on a fade route in the middle of the Jacksonville game, and Matt Ryan was getting sacked. So there were plenty of opportunities, but somehow, some way, they're just not getting him involved offensively, and it's really starting to irritate me. And we've not had this issue just with Paris Campbell. We've had this issue a couple other times, with the inability to get some of our biggest playmakers involved in the red zone, and that's sort of the segues into the next group of things that goes on. It's the play calling and execution. What's going on, everybody? Today, I want to talk to you about our sponsor, BetStamp. Now, I know what you're thinking. Derek, another betting app? What is so different about this one now? Well, I got to tell you guys, I'm not into online gambling a whole lot and bets online and everything, but I got to tell you, BetStamp is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in regards to betting online. The great thing about BetStamp is it allows you to see all the different odds from all different sports books and see which one provides you the best odds possible for any game or scenario you want to bet on for your pick versus some of the worst. BetStamp allows you to also buy and sell picks that you have without worrying about losing your money or having any issues with it. Believe me, it's all free. I mean, look at this, guys. You have an option for every game across all different kinds of leagues in a ton of different ways. You have baseball, you have college football, UFC, NBA, and NFL. Great for the NFL season now being here. And if I wanted to bet on this Tennessee Titans versus Buffalo Bills game, it shows me in real time what are the best odds, which sports book I'm going to get the best offer from versus some of the worst ones. Because why would you want to earn less money from PointsBet when you could be winning more from ProLine Plus? Again, a great thing that BetStamp offers you, allowing you to make more money for the same pick just with a different sports book. How easy is that? And the great thing is there's not just games. There's player props. There's game props. There's lines. There's live tracking. There's a ton of great ways to make bets and picks on BetStamp, guys. Totally a cool thing to use. I highly encourage you check it out if you're into any kind of online betting. Even if you're not, give it a check. See what you like about it, because I think I actually enjoy using it. But the best way to get an edge on online sports betting is having multiple accounts of different sports books. Be sure to hit the BetLink page, betstamp.app/onboarding. Be sure to check out the BetStamp app or online, and be sure to use the referral code JUICE, plug in your state, and you'll get access to all their affiliates and their prices once you open up seeing all states lines. Be sure to check this out, guys. You won't want to miss it for the best odds on your next sports bet. So obviously from a offensive perspective, defensive perspective this week, it looked a lot better. And offensively, it's still being an issue. You know, we can't run the football consistently right now. We're not getting great blocking. We're not running in great down situations, right? And the play calling has again led to a bunch of guys not getting involved, or guys not getting the ball when they need to, or, you know, us leading to bad or negative downs when it just shouldn't happen that way. At the end of the day, we're still having that issue with the play calling. And, you know, that we saw earlier, I think I said it even in our stream, where there was a 4th down and 1. The first time they ran it with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor tried to leap 3 yards from the first down marker and tried to get a first down, and it didn't work. And, you know, that's partly on Jonathan Taylor, partly on the offensive line for not blocking and executing it. And then the next 4th down and 1, you had Matt Ryan running QB sneak on the first down for the first down. And I'm thinking, why couldn't you have done that the first time? Right? Like it's simple things like that. And then we were talking about, I said it so many times yesterday, Frank Reich needs to stop running screens on 3rd down and 7s. Like wide receiver screens are okay on 1st down and long, or like 3rd down and really short, or 2nd down and short. But like there's no reason to be going receiver screen on 3rd down and 7 or 8. It just, especially when it isn't working, it rarely works for the Indianapolis Colts, and they just never get fooled by it. So at the end of the day, the Colts need to do something different with that. The play calling still needs to get better, and obviously executing in certain situations. This offense still has a long way to go before we can say that the offense is finally getting to where we want it. And then the last part that I would mention is just being able to keep up the momentum. We saw the defense and special teams perform very well this week. Now it's just about, can they do that consistently? They did a very fantastic job of limiting big plays for Kansas City and actually getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes and stopping the run. You know, this was the best this defense looked all year so far, and by a long shot. And it looks like the kind of defense that when Shaquille Leonard gets back into it, looks like the kind of defense you would expect from a top 5 defense, which we were saying that this team could potentially be all off season. So now it's, you did it, which is great. Now, can we keep that going? Can we actually make sure that this team is going forward, doing those same things, making sure the right guys are on the field? They brought in Isaiah Rodgers for the first time this season on defense and started helping them a little bit. Stephon Gilmore really stepped up. Bobby Okereke and Zaire Franklin in the biggest moments stepped up. Defensive line stepped up. Rodney Thomas stepped up. Rodney McLeod stepped up. Kenny Moore made some plays. Everybody was making plays on Sunday. We can continue to do the same thing. And for the offensive side of things, you saw some good things happen late in the game. Your defense and special teams kept you in it. Can we build on it? Can our offensive line get better? Can we actually run the ball more consistently? Can we throw the football down the field instead of everything having to be within 10 yards because the offensive line can't block, right? So it's about keeping that momentum and about doing things right and making sure we can do that and improve on it going forward. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the problems the Colts are addressing, still need to address going forward. But that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.